Floods are a devastating natural phenomenon. In Tasmania, these floods are scarily common. In this video, I will cover the story of the worst flood in the recent history of Tasmania. Hi, I'm Tasmanian, and this is Launceston's 2016 floods. I acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land upon where the video was filmed, the land of the Paniher, Tiononotpanur, and Leteromai Renoa peoples of the Stony Creek Nation. I pay my respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. King's Bridge is where some of the most infamous images and videos of the flooding can be found. Like, you can see videos and pictures of the floods hurtling down here, the Cataract Gorge, towards Launceston, which is behind me. This is now a very common hotspot for flooding, as only a week or two ago this was also currently in a state of flooding. I'm currently on King's Bridge, one of the oldest bridges in Launceston, which was the original way to Riverside and Trevally. Here I am at Royal Park. This is one of the most common places for flooding in the city, as the flood wall is behind the park and not in front. This means that that a lot of flooding occurs here, as there is little to no protection for it. On a regular day of raining, the water will get up to the top of these ramps, and as you can see, the remnants from the recent floods in Launceston have very clearly been shown on these ramps by the large amount of debris remaining. After committing to research, I found a report into the floods that detailed the most likely cause for the flooding was intense rainfall, warmer than average rainfall, and a large amount of cloud seeding. Whatever the cause, these floods eventuated into the worst floods since 1969 and comparable with the Great Flood of 1929, the deadliest flood in Tasmanian history. Despite the large amount of property damage, only one person lost their life, and it wasn't even in Launceston. Note, there were potentially two others that lost their lives, but it is still unknown. An elderly woman died in Latrobe on the Mersey River after her house flooded and she could not be evacuated. Areas such as Royal Park have been built on reclaimed land, meaning where that there used to be flooding or marshes or water are now being levelled and have turned into areas such as this. This means that, however, Royal Park is very prone to flooding as its natural environment is as such. This is why giant walls such as these, known as levees or flood walls, are incredibly important and are essential towards making Launceston flood-proof. Launceston has a long history of marine craft. However, in areas such as this, there is visible proof of the vessels flooding and in danger of sinking. This is because the Seaport, just like Royal Park, is built on reclaimed land, so areas such as this are not natural and as such are prone to flooding. Here is the Tamar Odyssey and the Lady Launceston, which both cruise the Tamar and Esk rivers, and both have suffered damage from the 2016 floods. Launceston has had a very long history of floods, with floods recorded from all the way with European settlement all the way until the modern day, including the ones that happened just weeks ago. Of these, some of the worst ones were 1929, 1969 and 2016. A large part of Launceston, including many flood-prone areas, is built on reclaimed land. This includes Royal Park, a lot of the Trevally area, Invermay, and the Seaport, which, as this map here shows, was originally called Beacons Island. This means that areas such as this are incredibly flood prone and can often have major issues when it comes to high rains. An entire suburb, that of Invermay, was originally just a flooded swamp. And now, areas such as the Seaport and Invermay have been turned into a well-served, hospitable area. Hi, I'm here at King's Wharf. This is in Invermay, this is one of the main areas. Used to be a floodplain and a swamp. Now it's protected by levees such as this one. This was originally built as a walking/cycle track near the old railway line, which there are remnants of there. Here I am in Inveresk. This area of Invermay is notorious for its flooding, as with the railway workshops situated on the site, there is much documentation of and it became known that the flood-prone swamp where the railway yards were built was indeed not a good spot to build any sort of stuff at all. This means that throughout Launceston's history, this area, which this is on what was once known as the Northeast Railway Line, is some of the most flood-prone in the city and in Tasmania. Launceston, and especially the North Esk River, are well known for flooding. This area, which is known as the North Esk River, has some of the highest flooding out of any river in Tasmania.
Damage from the floods was immense. Hundreds of millions of dollars went into relief and reconstruction efforts all across the state, mainly in the Mersey and Tamar valleys, but also in the Upper Darwin and the Esk Basin. This resulted in loss of life and major property damage. Overall, the damage was calculated at 180 million AUD at the time, which calculates to around 223 million today. This makes it one of the worst natural disasters in Tasmanian history.
I'm at Hoblers Bridge in Newstead. This is where some of the most devastating floods have damaged areas, such as at the moment, where this has occurred, where trees have fallen over and there's flooded ground. This is due to recent floods and bad weather, and it is very reasonable to assume that the 2016 floods did the same. Floods are a truly devastating phenomenon. In outer suburbs, such as here in St. Leonards, floods would have easily swept over the banks into areas like this, the picnic ground. Now dry creeks, such as over here, would have been bursting their banks as everyone rushed to evacuate the area. Thousands were evacuated during the floods in and around Invermay and St. Leonards, as well as in more rural areas such as Perth and Longford, which we will get to shortly. The North Esk River at St. Leonards is rough on any average day, such as today. However, during floods, it would rise extremely fast and would most likely burst its banks.
Areas such as this in St. Leonards would have been low-lying and would most likely have been evacuated as part of the floods.
This is Corra, Linn. It is one of the most flood-prone areas in the state due to the large width and shallow depth of the river, the North Esk here. It is in close proximity to a gorge just upstream, meaning the water is flowing outwards from there, and it is surrounded by flat, open land. It means flooding is quite common in this area.
How I write.
Hi, I'm here in Perth, beside the beautiful South Esk River. This is another flood-prone area that was badly damaged during the 2016 floods. This is because of how low the land here is, and also around the nearby area in the Northern Midlands. For those who are not aware, I'm currently in Perth, which is a rural town about 20 minutes out of Launceston. Hi, I'm in Longford. Longford is the confluence between the Marlborough and South Esk rivers, which is right in front of me here. I'm currently at the boat ramp, and Longford is known for flooding. I know that because I used to live here. In the 2016 floods, Longford was half surrounded by floods. The main road, the Illawarra Road, was closed, and basically the town was kind of in a bad situation. This is the Longford Railway Bridge. This was built in 1871. It is still here, and there used to be a road here which was washed away by floods multiple times, very many times, until the new road was built. And now they don't build new bridges underneath the bridge whenever they feel like it. Longford as a town is very unique, as it is also, just like Launceston, surrounded by large flood walls. This is due to the floodplain that the town is built on and its high risk of flooding. During floods, the gates on the road can be closed to prevent water from getting in. I would like to thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you next time on Tasmania.